Peterborough. Fabulous new series of books coming out. What's the real idea behind these ones? Obviously, you've written dozens of different books about gardening, so what are we going to learn in these new ones?
I've done a lot of comprehensive books, fairly big, fat ones. There's a big kitchen gardener one up there, which is all about veg and fruit growing. How to Be a Gardener was the TV series I did, and there were two big, fat books about the basics, and then Secrets of Success. And I felt that, I hadn't got a range of books. If people wanted something that was inexpensive, gave them all the information about a narrower field, whether it's growing fruit or garden design or gardening in shade or greenhouse gardening. But the trouble was, I'd been trying to get this series sorted for such a long time because it needed, from my point of view, to fulfil three briefs. Firstly, there had to be enough information about each subject, not just a few pictures and scant information. I wanted comprehensive information, in spite of the fact it was a small book. Lots of illustrations, because where plants for shade were, I wanted you to be able to see almost all of them. Loads of illustrations. And a good price. And they've managed to do, I think, all three. So there's plenty of copy, plenty of illustrations, and they're $6.99. So it took that long, I think, to get it right. And these are the second flush. We've got 6 out already, 5 now, so there's now 11, and another 4 next spring. So I hope the series will grow, but you can collect it piecemeal as you need each one. That's the reason why. Long-winded answer.
More to look forward to then, but I mean, clearly you're an expert. You make it look easy, Alan. But just how easy is it for someone who hasn't got the green fingers that you've got to manage to start gardening?
Plants want to grow. They are intrinsically capable of growing if we don't get in the way. And so really gardening is a combination of helping them to grow and really keeping out of the way and letting them grow. If you understand how plants work, and it's a pretty basic thing, it's innate in all of us. We've all got this ability to grow things. It's just that we've lost it over the years because we're now so sophisticated and technologically minded that most folk get scared when they go out into a garden. And it's been my life's work just to try and stop people being intimidated and to lead them forward and say, you can do it, this is how to do it. 90% of it is common sense.
You must be delighted with the resurgence of people that are looking for allotments and trying to grow their own and do a bit more gardening themselves in terms of vegetables or plants.
I am delighted. I'm anxious that we should sustain it. That for me is the most important. And we get these little flashes every now and again, one in the mid-70s, one in the late 90s, of people saying, I'm going to have a go. And if they're not properly helped to do it, they're not given good information and the wisdom of people who know how to do it already, they can, come a cropper and lose their confidence and think, oh no, it didn't work, I'm not going to do it again. So I'm really anxious that we should sustain this move at the moment and say, yes, you can do this, do it bit by bit, expand your knowledge and the size of your garden. Don't take on too much too soon. But just gradually build on what you're doing and get better at it, and you won't be intimidated and overfaced by it. If you take on too much too soon and it all goes wrong, you just don't want to do it. So little and often.
Yeah, put you off otherwise.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you about was we have a green festival that's coming up at the end of May in Peterborough, a fabulous festival, obviously all things green. Gardening, of course, a huge big part of that, and the grow your own side of things. Gardeners are obviously on the front line of a lot of those things, aren't they? What would be your real tips in a green eco-sense?
I think gardeners are often overlooked because they're the only truly interactive naturalists. Bird watchers watch birds. People who like wildflowers go out and look at them and they might tick them off on the list. Gardeners get involved and they are interactive with their plants. They take cuttings, they sow seeds, they grow things. They don't just watch them. And I think we're often overlooked as the sharp end, if you like, of conservation and environmental awareness. And it may seem to you that a few bedding plants in the garden has nothing to do with that. But even a few bedding plants will attract insects in if they're the right kind of bedding plants with single flowers and nectaries. It gets insects in. Insects bring birds. Flowers and plants are the bedrock of life as we know it. Without them, we would all die. We would all have gone. There'd be no other life on Earth. They're the most important thing to look after. But it's not an onerous task. It's the most delightful thing, learning how to grow plants. Surrounding yourself, however tiny your patch, with a bit of beauty, whether it's a little bunch in a vase or growing a carrot or a lettuce. It's hugely fulfilling and it's positive. Instead of saying, don't drive to work more than you have to, always take something you can, don't heat your house, do like it, all those don't stop doing this. Gardening is a do, it's a positive, and it shows how even on a small scale you can make a difference. We've got millions of tiny patches in Britain that make up this enormous quilt. If everybody looks after their little patch and just grows something in it, it's an enormous enormous boost to the environment that you can make a difference with and have a good time doing it.
So what would be 2 or 3 little tips that you might give people to get started on to be a bit more eco-friendly in relation to their garden?
We can all go organic. We're not raising food for the third world, so we can all stop spraying quite as much as we do, stop being quite so control freaky, realising that a garden that is home to wildlife is home to all kinds of wildlife, not just the bits we like. Don't grow any concentration of any one crop in any one place, then you're unlikely to get an epidemic. Look at what grows well in your neighbours' gardens, and that will probably grow well in yours. If you're starting out and you don't know what to grow, try and find the right plant for the right spot. Some grow well in shade, some prefer sunlight. So putting that right plant in the right place, as I say, it wants to grow, just let it. And spend as much on the hole as you do on the plant when you put it in. You know, bit of effort, bit of enrichment in the soil, a little bit of coaxing and cosseting in those first few weeks and months of establishment. Don't let it get dry. Then it's away.
And of course, composting and all that sort of thing. You've
it's simple. I think, collecting rainwater from roofs, it makes sense. Having a compost heap in the corner. It all takes a bit of doing, but you feel wonderfully virtuous when you've done it.
You do. Very true indeed. Is this the first time you've been to Peterborough?
No, I come quite every now and again. I'm up here,
the centre here, because this centre, I think, was actually, there's a lot of sustainability in the east.
Yes.
How this was built and a lot of recycling.
That's a huge plus, the fact that it is sustainable. What is also a huge plus is that there's an enormous range of plants here. The plant quality is very high, and that's the nucleus and the bedrock on which this business is built. And all the other areas are an add-on to that. And if people come here can know that they're getting a tremendous range of plants that are well grown, and they're getting the information to enable them to grow those plants, they will always come here. And the other half of their family, who doesn't necessarily like gardening, will have plenty to do as well. So it must be a plus, I think.